Okay, we have our Wednesday morning. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning. The sun is shining somewhere in the world, just not here. Uh, and and we have this beautiful chart of mental math and calculator thinking that apparently is taking a lot of people a lot of time to get the answer. So as we go through this, please note the strategy we use to get the answers and make note of it. So the first question says 55%, and all of the questions are going to be 55% or whatever percentage of the number 144. So to get 55%, the easiest way to do it, if you're not Jesse Brian Hunter, is to first get 50%, and 50% of 144, the way I would do it, I say, well, 50% of that place value is 50. Half of 44 is 22. So 50 and 22 put together is 72. So therefore 50% is $72. The next number I would get is 10% by moving the decimal one place over, which is $14.40. The final one I'd get is half of that to get 10%, which is $7.20. When I put 50% and 5% together, I get 55%. So therefore it would be $72 plus $7.20 or $79.20. That's our answer. Now, if we translate 55% to calculator thinking, 55% is 55 over 100, which as a decimal is 55 hundredths. So 55% of 144, if we use that as our calculation, we go 55% of 144, and it's still $79.20. Our next question says 40%. Actually, before we go to that, somebody, a really smart person in grade 8 said that if you want to get 5% without finding 10%, if you know what 50% is, 10% of 50% is 5%. So 10% of $72 is actually $7.20. So if you wanted to think of it differently, you could say that 10% of 50% is 5%, and you could have got the answer without finding 10%. All right, on to the next one. 40%. I'm going to find 10%, and 10% of 144 we already know to be $14.40. And really 40% is just 4 of those, right? 4 $14. So 4 tens is 40, 4 fours is 16, and 4 40 cents is $1.60. So if I want to put all of those together, I get 56, 57, $57.60 using mental math strategies. Right. If I use a calculator, 40% is 40 hundredths or 4 tenths. So as a decimal, you can either think of it as 40 hundredths or, without that insignificant zero, 4 tenths, same thing, of 144 should give us 57.60. So 4 tenths of 144 is 57.60. 76%, the easiest way would be, I think, this way, 50%, 25%, 1%. Am I wrong on that? Okay, so 50% we already know is 72. We have it in the one above it. 25% would be half of 72, which is 36. And 1%, if I move the decimal twice, I get 1%. So 10%, 1% is $1.44. You put all those together. Here's how I'm going to put it together without breaking the bank. If I put lines through those two numbers, how much do those two place values combine to make? 100. 106, 108, 109. $109.44 should be my answer. Everyone see how I did that? Right? That makes sense? And 76% is 76 hundredths, which is 76 hundredths. So 76% of 144. 76% of 144 is $109.44. Our next question is 350%. Now here's an easy one, really. If I get 100%, hopefully you all know what 100% of $144 is. It's 144, that's right. And if I want to get 300%, I simply have to multiply that by 3, right? So I'll do that real quick. That times 3 is 300. That times 3 is 120. And that times 3 is 12. So 100% times 3 is going to be 432. Is that right? 432? I'm just going to write that down. So 300% is 432. So now I have 300%, but I need an extra 50%. So half of 100% is 50%. So 50% we already know is 72. So when I combine these, I'm going to go 400. And then 70 and 30 is what? Another 100. So that's now what? 500. Plus a 2 and a 2 is $504. Now here's where it gets tricky. 350%. 350% is 350 out of 100. Does everyone agree with that? That's 350%. Which as a mixed fraction is 3 and 50 hundredths. And 3 and 50 hundredths as a decimal is 3.50 or 3.5. Either way you think of it, that's what 350% looks like as a decimal. So 350% of 144 would be that thinking. So 350% of 144 is 504. We just spent the last 25 minutes fixing the lines that were erased because people were all discombobulated. All right. 5%. So we already know 5% because we studied it up here. 5% is $7.20. Now, in order to get the remaining 0.5%, which one do I have to calculate first? Or which one do you think I should calculate first? What is it? Not 0.5. I'm not going to get 0.5 right away. What am I going to get first? 1%. So if I get 1% by moving the decimal twice, I get $1.44 because we knew that already up. Where was it? Somewhere right here. So now that we know it's $1.44, a 0.5% is half of $1.42, $1.44. So a 0.5% is 72 cents, right? A half of $1.44. So to get 5.5%, I just have to combine 5% with a 0.5%, and that will be $7.92. Right, $7.92. So once we know 7.92, the next part is 5.5% is 5.5 out of 100. That's 5.5% as a fraction. Or as an equivalent fraction, where there is no decimals, it's 55 thousandths. Now that's important because when I want to write it as a decimal, I have to consider 55 thousandths, which is 0.55. That's 5.5% expressed not as a fraction, but as a decimal. So 5.5% of 144. If I use a calculator on that, 5.5% of $144 is $7.92. 10.1%, we're going to get 10% first, which we already know is $14.40. We're going to get 0.1%, which we already figured out. No, we didn't, did we? So how do we get 0.1%? Move the decimal 3 times. Now here's where it gets tricky. So once, twice, 3 times. In terms of money, it's this much money. Does anyone know how to read that properly? How would I read that amount of money? Marshall, what do you think? Tricky. No, I wouldn't say so. What do you think? Excellent. 14 cents and 4/10ths of a cent. Because if we think about this as being the cents position, how much of a cent do we have? We have 4/10ths of a cent. We have a fraction of a cent. So if it was a gas station sign, you might see something that says this. So it's 14 and 4/10ths of a cent for one whatever, right? Sometimes they have that in fractions of a cent. So it's almost 15. It's not quite 15 cents. It's closer to 14 cents than it is to 15 cents. But it's 14 and 4/10ths of a cent. So a tenth of a cent, if I round it, we can make it, it's approximately 14 cents. Or if you want to keep the extra decimal, that's fine, because technically you can't have money beyond 2 decimal places, right? We don't see it in our everyday when we purchase stuff at Superstore, but it does exist. So therefore, if I put $14.40 plus 14.4, I would have 14.544, I think is my money. Is that correct? Right? $14.54 and 4/10ths of a cent. Now, if you have $14.54, that's fine, right? But please make sure that you put an approximately equal to sign there, because you did omit a decimal place or you did round, and when you do that, you can't say it's equal to that. It's actually approximately equal to that. When we take that idea of what is 10.1% as a decimal, 10.1% as a fraction, 10.1% as a fraction with no decimal is 101 thousandths, which is 101 thousandths, right? 10.1%. So 10.1% of 144, hopefully, is 14.544. So 100, oh, hello. 10.1% of 144 is $14.54.4, or 4/10 of a cent. Our next question. Interesting. What's the easiest way to get 99.9%? What do you think, Carly? Subtract the 0.1%. What do we call that again? Not 0.1%. What do we call that? A tenth of a percent. Subtract a tenth of a percent from 100%. So 100% is 144, right? 100% is 144. And a tenth of a percent is, we just solved it, didn't we? 14 cents. Is that right? No, 14.4 cents. We'll go approximate. We'll do the rounding on this one, 14 cents. So when you subtract 14 cents from $144, you would get $143.86. Is that agreed? I think if my math is right, $144 take away 14 cents. Yeah? Or if you had $143.85.6, if you kept the extra decimal there, it could be 143.856, I think, because you have to take away 4/10 of a cent more. Does that work? 99.9% is 0.999. 99.999% should work out with a calculator to be 143.856, but we'll see. So 99.9% of 144 is $143.85.6, of a cent. And finally, the last one, I'm going to extend the page here because it is going to take a little bit of room here. What's the easiest way to do this? What do you think? Hermie, what do you think? 50%. Okay, fine, 50%. 50% take away 1%? So 50%, so 100% plus 50% minus 7/10 of a percent. Is that what you want to do? Minus 7/10 of a percent. Does that make sense to everybody? 100% plus 50% is 150%. Take away 7/10 would be 149 and 3/10. Okay, let's do this. Let's see if this works. So $144 plus $72. This would be 150%, correct? That's going to be 210, 216. Is everybody all right with that idea, mentally? How am I going to get 7/10? Which ones do we know? Do we know 5/10? What's 5/10 of a percent better known as? 0.5%, right? So we already know 0.5%. It's right here. So 0.5% is 72 cents. So 0.5% is 72 cents. You with me? We already know 0.1%. That was, where was that? Right here. That was approximately 14 cents. Right? How many of those 14 cents do we need? 2 of them. So really, 0.2% would be 2 of those, which is 28 cents. So if I take my 0.5, which is 72 cents, and I take my 0.2, which is 28 cents, and put them together, that would be 0.7 cents, or 7/10 of a cent. That's 90. Ooh, isn't that interesting? How much is that? It's $1. Isn't it? Right? So this could be pretty easy. It's $1. 216 take away $1, which should be 215. Now, is this going to be exactly 215, or is it going to be approximately? Because technically we forgot these two here, didn't we? Right? So technically it should be 214.20. I think this is what it's going to be if I work it out in my head right. Is that right? We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Is it? Okay. Maybe. Yeah. So with a calculator, 100% and 49 3/10% as a decimal is 1.493. That's 100% right here. because when you multiply a number by 1, you get all of it, so 100%, and then 49%, and then 3/10 of 144. Hopefully this works out. 149.3% of 144 is, oh, you're right, I made a mistake there. Oh, I see what I did. I took away 8/10 instead of, yeah, I get it. So the answer is 214, I made a mistake, 214.992, because I took away 8 thousandths of a cent, not, or 8 thousandths of a dollar, not 8/10 of a dollar. Okay. So if you had 215, you rounded properly, and if you had 214.992, you definitely got the right answer.